Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Debbie and I'm a mixed media artist, and I'm afraid to say I've done it again. I accidentally tripped, and as I was falling, just to save myself, you understand, I must have hit buy now in the art shop. So that's the only way I can actually explain what's happened here. I did swear this wouldn't happen again. I've tried putting myself on bands and all sorts of things like that, and it's worked out brilliantly, as you can see. Today is an unboxing and a swatching session. So before we do that, let's get on to the housekeeping. Basically, leave me a like and subscribe and a comment if you have time. I do try to respond to all of them. I answer most, and yeah, it's busy, but you know what I mean. But I do appreciate your time. And if you like what you see here and have a look at some of my other videos, do consider joining my Patreon, where you'll see all of these things put into practice, because there's a few bits and bobs here. They don't all necessarily look like if they go together, but trust me, they do. My Cocker Spaniel's decided she's going to have a fight with something in the hallway. It could get, oh God, she's got a box. This could get loud, so I do apologize in advance. But anyway, so do consider joining my Patreon so you can see where all of this gets used as a mixed media set. So, having said that, let's get on to the good stuff, because there's all sorts here. Where are we going to go first? You know what? I'm going to go for the workaday stuff. We never really, I don't know, somehow I don't value paper as an exciting product, which is absolutely ridiculous and somewhat vacuous, I'm not going to lie, because paper and the paper we paint on is really, really important. Now, I think by the time this goes out, a couple of weeks ago, I will have compared two papers. So that will be a sort of, we've done that thing, but it will have some context. Speaking of, I love my sketchbooks because I do a lot of art over the course of a month, and you can imagine the costs if I wanted to frame it, hanging it on walls. I've already got about 500-600 things on walls, and it's ridiculous already. So sketchbooks, okay, she may settle. I shall plough on and bravely ignore my dog, who isn't barking at anything in particular. I love my sketchbooks because it means I can create as much as I like, and I don't have to worry about what's going to happen to them. They go into the sketchbooks and they go onto a shelf. I can look at them. They're also protected because not everything that we use is light fast. It has to be if we're buying, you know, if we're making and selling original work, but I don't always do that. So sometimes I just think I really want to use this product. It isn't light fast. I shall get over that. So sketchbooks are brilliant, and the ones I love the most are these Hahnemühle nostalgia ones. Now, I live in Germany, so where you live might be a little bit more expensive, or indeed hard to get a hold of, but do have a look. If you can get your hands on these Hahnemühle books, they're wonderful for mixed media, because although I realise you can't actually pick this up very well, trust me when I say they are smooth. They are fabulous for detail. Let me just grab one that I've worked in. My poor long-suffering Patreons who see this video first will have seen all of this nonsense, but anyway, chances are you haven't. Nobody has much. I use mixed media in a sort of joyfully exuberant way, one hopes. Although these are a bit dark, there's a reason for that, and that's Caran Dash's fault. I shall get onto that if I remember, so do shout. I use all sorts of materials. This has even got a bit of collage on it, but this paper in these Hahnemühle nostalgia sketchbooks is absolutely amazing for anything you want to throw at it. As you can see, my work is quite varied, so I need a sketchbook that's going to take it all. You know, there's watercolor here, there's gouache, there's colored pencil, there's ink, there is all sorts, fine liners, the works. So in all of these have got a lot of, like I said, I've got the Caran Dash Dark set, the new one, and all of this is coming out of sort of that set. I'm trying to play with it and see what I can do with it, but all of it is going onto this magnificently smooth paper, and you can get fabulous textural marks if you want them. Granulating watercolors will granulate, and fine lines will happen as well. Not a sponsored ad, by the way. I've paid for all this one. Yeah, that's the sad thing about it. I'm nearly out of my favorites. So I have one here with a portrait, A5 portrait, and one a landscape. This has got a slightly different color, which surprises me. No, they must have changed it slightly. What they do is they have different textures on the colors, on the covers. So the watercolor book, for example, is quite a fine texture material, whereas this is a really heavy linen one, and this is a slightly different linen one, but it is indeed the same sort of paper, and it takes what I throw at it. So I love that. It's an enduring love that I have for them. What's next? This little guy here. This is simply a wooden watercolor box that I've bought that I can fill. It's got 36 pans in it. It's an Amazon find. It cost me about 14 euros, which anything under 20 euros for art materials here in Europe is pretty much given away with a cup of coffee. So I'm very happy with that. I've yet to find the colors I'm going to put in it. I don't know how I'm going to arrange this, but I guess I'll let you know, and I might even take you along with me. That would be fun, I think. So yeah, it's weird because in February I did a video about the things that I had bought and regretted, and watercolors were in there. Since then, with my mother's voice in my ear, and I'm sure all of us can relate to that, you bought them, you'll learn to like them. So I have, and I've liked them so much that I've bought more watercolors. So there's just no helping some people. Right, before I get on to these, Caran have done it again. They have released, it's their 50th anniversary, so they've released 5 sets of limited edition colors. Well, having said that, most of the colors in here are not limited edition. The new ones, or special edition, are these. Now, in my last unboxing, where I actually unboxed this set, because this is my older one that I used for those sketches that I just showed you with the birds and the gardens and so forth, each one that is a special edition has it written on there. I didn't realize that when I was looking for this through my existing collection. I thought, I've seen that color before, because I somehow told myself that there were only 2 special edition ones per box. No, wrong information. There are 3, and this is one of them. They have special edition written on them. This is the dark set, which is what I used for, let me just grab in case other people are like me and have the memory of a goldfish. I've done these with them. There's a lot of other stuff going on there as well, but I've tried to focus on this set quite a bit. And all of these are old colours. They're already in open stock. They've been around for ages. These are the new ones. So there's 3 new colours per set, not 2. So I looked for this in vain, thinking that I had it. I haven't. It's a beautiful colour. It's what's making this glowy effect everywhere. Is this one. It's called Zinc Ochre, so that's worth having. I really like this dark set. I tend to be a little bit dark and moody with my colour palette, so this was the one I got first. I did question the idea of it and whether it was actually a good idea, since I already have all of these other colours. There's 7 colours in each set that I've got already, because of course having full set syndrome and being a terminal sufferer, I've already bought all of these. However, I can use these to put into a kit for taking out if I ever decide to do that. After 40 years, it's unlikely, but if I run out, I know I've got some. Because other people have FOMO. I have something that I call FORO, which is fear of running out. And I think it's because I've lived in the country most of my life. And I lived in the country before the internet. Seriously, I'm a lot sort of bigger vintage than I might appear, but last century, grew up in the country in Australia, and there was nothing close by. So you would go to the city, you would buy things, and you better make sure that you bought enough and everything, because if you ran out, it could be months before you travelled the 400 kilometres across South Australia to get to the art shop again, and then paid huge extortionate fees to buy them again. So I've got this, I don't want to run out of stuff, so I don't care that I've already got all these. I'll have them again, and if the dog eats them or I run out or, you know, drop them, break them, whatever, I've got some more. So it doesn't worry me too much. Should, but it doesn't. I'm a hardened case. So these are this is the first set that I bought, and I did put this into an unboxing and swatching video, which it's already up somewhere, I suspect. And that's what I've been using with these, which is why you can see these nice moody colors. And even though it's summer, I still think it works. So that's what I've done there. And of course, in pure me style, having FOMO and full set syndrome, I bought more. I bought the rest of them. I have one set coming still because there are 5 sets, and I've got one lot coming, which is the Lush set, and that hasn't made it in time for this unboxing, but it will. And what I'm going to do in addition to unboxing and showing everybody and swatching them in a second, I'm also going to do a video for my patrons where I focus on one tin at a time and use what's in it plus other things, but you know, really showcase each one. So if that's interesting for you. The one thing I can't get used to is that they open this way. Sadly, that feels backwards to me, but you know, there you go. We are not in Kansas anymore. Right, so I will have most of these. That one is a special edition. That one and that one is too. So those are the ones that have been around for a while by the look of them. This one, let me double check and see if my eye is in. Yes, special edition, special edition, special edition. If this was a fruit machine, I just won. The new one, this is Pop. It doesn't say anywhere that I can see. Maybe it does, and I was just stressing the other day when I was looking for it, but I couldn't see anywhere on the box where it said it. But it is the Pop collection. It's quite bright, brighter than I usually like. Remembering that I went for the dark collection first, and if you have a look at them together, there is a world of difference between this goth-inspired palette and this one. Anyway, we have Rose of Grenache, Tyrian Pink, and Light Lilac. I really like those. Garants, not Grenache, Garants. Sorry. Tyrian Pink and Light Lilac, I can just about cope with those. So they're quite nice colours. This one certainly is nice, if I can ever say it. This one's might mix nicely with something else. But, you know, I'm not sorry to have them. I do like to have the choice of them. And the thing I like about these is, if we grab a rather large pair of scissors here, there's lots of information on the box. There's also a swatching chart that you can use, which I probably wouldn't because I actually believe that you need a bit more room to swatch than that. I mean, if you haven't got the room or if you want to keep this in the box, absolutely fair dues, and that's what they provide. The information on the back is the usual stuff. These are good quality. They're Caran dash, and if I take the sleeve off and cut them, I'm never going to know which is which. I'll probably make a little label and put on there, which I think is the most sensible way. This one, although you wouldn't know it from the label, is the portrait one. Get that out of the way for starters because it's the same in every single one. And again, I can see the 3 new ones. That's this one. Conch Pearl Special Edition, Light Peony Yellow Special Edition, and Light Wine Lees. Nice colours. That's an even nicer pink. I've always said to everybody I'm not into pink. I'm not quite sure how much of that is me trying to convince myself that I'm not into pink, because pink things have a place in the world. If you think of flowers and fruits and things like that, pink is a thing, and you know, we're stuck with it, I suppose. The other things, colours in here, very nice. They've thought about these, and that's what I really like. Somebody has actually put a lot of thought into them. So we've not doubled up colours, obviously. That would be stupid, because I think they probably know that a lot of us are going to buy all of them. They're not cheap, but they're still they're affordable enough. They're art materials and they're Caran dash. This one is the pastel set. Again, we can get rid of that. Very light and pastel-y, as one would expect. And I can see the 3 colours here that I don't recognise. So, Peach Blossom, Amazonite, and light heliotrope. Again, nice. If I'm going to have a pink, I really do like this one more than a sort of a bubblegum pink, if that makes sense. This one's so much nicer. So muted versions of any colours are great. And of course, there are some other really useful ones in here. Sahara yellow, pale yellow, apricot. This is a really pretty selection. This looks very beachy to me, so that's probably how I'm going to attack that when I come to showing everybody what's in there. Speaking of what's in where, I've added two, yes, got that right because I knew they were there somewhere. This seemed like the right sort of size box for them to be in. Let's take that apart. We recycle here in Germany. We've got 3 bins. We've got a bin for everything. We have a bin for paper and we have a bin for plastic and packaging, and it's very easy to use, works brilliantly. So these are a selection of pastels to add to my collection of sky colours, actually. I have here a phthalo blue. I have a violet shade, so a dark violet. And I have a little kit here, which I wasn't planning on. I didn't know that one. So that's a nice surprise. Put that in the plastics pile, as one does. Right, so a little tool and another applicator. That will be useful, and with it is a phthalo blue shade. So these I use for my skies. Let me grab that sketchbook again. Pan pastels for skies. Oh, as a random, this will do. None of the colours I just showed you, but this is a pan pastel sky, as is this. They are second to none for skies, in my opinion. I absolutely love them. Create very little dust. Do be aware there are cancer warnings on some. Don't know if these have it. Yes, here we have it here. It's the P65 warning from California, but we're still going to listen to it because it's a stupid idea not to if they're going to put it on there. So don't breathe the dust. Don't leave it on your fingers. Wash your hands afterwards. But other than that, don't panic. But they make beautiful skies. The dust is a minimum in a sketchbook like this, even on this quite smooth paper, because this is the Hahnemühle Nostalgia one. They just look really nice and allow themselves to be layered over. So normally I have lighter skies like that one, but sometimes in the summertime you get a really, really deep blue sky. We look like we're going to have one today, actually. And sometimes these darker colours, which they come out slightly lighter on the white paper. So having the darker colours isn't, you know, you're not going to get a colour sky like that. It's going to be a bit lighter. I also use pan pastels excessively in my jelly printing, and I paint straight onto the jelly plate. I don't use the transfer technique. I'm not a fan. It's great if that's your journey. It's not mine. I paint onto the jelly plate with my pastels and also with acrylic gouache, and then pull the print and work back into it. And again, there is a video on here somewhere, and these are seen in action a lot on my Patreon. Every Thursday I post a niche video, and a lot of them are to do with pan pastels on the jelly plate. So they'll be great there too. Looking forward to using them. Some nice colours. Right. Oh gosh, we've got a bit of a ringing in here. Okay. Right, so paper bin. It really isn't difficult, but yeah. Let's undo some boxes here and see what we've got exactly. Let's go here first. The art graph. I'm always amazed how cold this is. I have a few art graph blocks which I haven't used an awful lot, but I did watch somebody, I can't remember who it is now, on YouTube the other day using a graphite stick and on wet paper, and I really quite liked the result. So I've bought one, and we'll see if that gets any use. You'll hear about it. I'm going to put that one aside. That is a watercolor paint. These are some acrylic gouache from Holbein. Let's see if we've got any others. And I'm just looking. I'm going to open all the big boxes and sort into piles, and then we can attack one at a time. Right, paper bin. Gosh, I love this. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't give the wrong impression of being sorry about my crimes before, because I'm absolutely not sorry at all. I'll do it again. Already planning. My other art shop favourite has just come up with it's Friday the 13th of June today, and it's my cousin's birthday. I must remember that. They're giving a 13% off, so I might actually transgress again. Right, what have we got here? We've got that and that. That's a different one. These are all the same. These boxes are a bit smaller, so we'll leave those. Right, so what I've done here is I'm building on my collection of acrylic gouache, and these are from Holbein. I have a white, I have a deep magenta, I have a pale mint, ash blue, and then I have a lemon yellow, pale pink, and a mustard. A little bit of difference in some of the packaging, but that doesn't matter. Only the writing. Not a problem. Here again, that's not... Yeah, there are some differences in the packaging for sure. The tops are different too. Sorry, just always 10 years behind everybody else. Here we go. Again, pinks. These two are nice. I love this colour, pale mint. I'm sort of thinking I've got this already, but I don't think I have. I tend to double up if I'm not careful. But in my defence, like I said, I don't run out and I will use them. I do a lot of painting, so I paint every day. It's my big thing after dinner. When we finish dinner, I paint for about half an hour to an hour. I think it's 10 minutes, but my husband says it's an hour and a half sometimes, so he's obviously wrong. So I do use all of these, and they look really very nice actually. So liking those colours. Mustard, that's an interesting, it's one of my favourites as well. That's quite a nice mustard. So yeah, just building on my collection towards having the whole lot. And this is a Holbein gouache, a regular gouache. Now acrylic gouache is the one that you cannot re-wet once it's dried. So once you've put it on the paper, you get what you get. This is traditional gouache. Traditional gouache can be re-wet, so I would make up a palette of these. Famously, sorry about reaching there in front of the camera, my gouache palette, just mind if you're of a nervous disposition, look away. I never wash this, I never clean it, I just add to it. A lot of them are crumbly and dry. Add pipette of water on top of those and they will come back to life within seconds, and I do my painting like that. That's how we get the job done. So these are, I make up a box of these and I use them continually. These, no. These, if you do that and they dry, you've got a little block of wasted paint. So with these, I just have a tile or a plate. Sometimes I just take it straight from the tube, as you'll see when we're swatching. I know you're not supposed to, don't write in. But these will not re-wet afterwards. So these I can use again and again. And I've got a raw umber, an orange and a bark brown, which are natural colours. I paint landscapes and things that come out of the landscape, like flowers, birds, animals, mushrooms and things like that. So landscape colours and nice natural colours are what is required. Mijello Mission, I do hope I'm not massacring that name. If you are from South Korea, I do apologise. This is their gouache. I've never tried it before, so today will be the first day. Actually, I've not tried these either. I've got all sorts of gouache, but not this brand and not this brand. So I have a yellow grey, which I thought looked really lovely. And I have a gold ochre, which is, again, another favourite. And also sort of landscapey colours. Good for trees, good for absolutely everything. So those will be swatched in a second. This is Mijello Mission watercolour. Now this is tourmaline granulation watercolour, and so far what I've found with the colours is not all of them have granulated the way you see on the swatch when you're buying them. However, the colours are so beautiful and so muted that I am very willing to forgive them that. So I've bought more anyway. I have a Milky Way violet and an oxide turquoise. In the last video, actually, I don't think this was it actually, it might have been, no, this was one ago. Sorry, just, yeah, ignore that bit. I thought I had the ones that I swatched to hand, but I don't. I know where they are though. Hang on. I have a new one of my new books here was a Hahnemühle. I thought it was in here. I really did. I think it still is. Nope. Sheep. Nope. Right. Well, that's me out of ideas. I really thought that I had done it in there. I know where I've got it. Okay. We're going to get there in the end, I promise. I'll have to find it. And when I do, here it is. It's my watercolor book that I had done it in. So sorry about that. It's the usual thing you expect in these videos. Here it is. I have so many sketchbooks on the go. It is not funny. And the reason for that is because sometimes I want a different size. Sometimes I want a different format, you know, portrait or landscape. Sometimes I want, I don't know, just different paper. So although I stick to Hahnemühle, and this is the watercolor version, so this has got a little bit more texture in it, I grab a textbook, back to this again. I grab a sketchbook and I use whatever will do on the day. So that's why this is a new one. It's an A4. I never thought I'd like A4 format. I thought it was too big. I prefer the A5 because it's smaller and it's portable too. But anyway, these are some of these Magello Mission watercolors, and they are supposed to be super granulating. A couple of them are, and some do interesting things, but they're not. These are a different set of things altogether. These are the Magello Mission ones. But the colours are just so nice. They're just so me. So I thought I'm going to get them and we'll see how we go. I see I've also swatched out the Caran dark set here. These are the nice colors. That one, and that one are the three new colours. Loving those. So, right. Found the sketchbook and all is well. So even if they don't granulate, I'm going to cover them up with other things anyway. What I want are those lovely, lovely colours. So still on paints. Let's see what's in here. I think this is paint. You can never tell because quite often they'll put things in a box that's not, it's not what it says on the outside. Right. Gosh, I'm getting a little pile there. These are Holbein watercolors. Some of them are granulating, some of them aren't. I think most of them are. I've got a full moon yellow, hazy moon yellow, Eurasian jay rose grey, and a Japanese bush warbler green. Gosh, need new glasses. Japanese bush warbler green. That is the actual name of it. Some more watercolors, so those will be interesting to swatch in a bit. Then we've got some pencils. Let me see. Now here again, I bought a whole heap of Holbein pencils. Oh gosh, sorry. Before I get on to that, this is the Caran Neocolor 2 bronze. I don't really go, I don't go for neon colours at all. And I don't normally go for metallics either. But I thought this bronze one might be fun because quite a lot of the roofs here, and there are statues and so forth, they've got bronze roofs. Now they're all a beautiful turquoise green after all the time they've spent oxidizing, but sometimes a little bit of shine somewhere can be interesting. So I tell myself I don't really like it, but it's here now. It's okay. I don't mind it at all. I think it's nice and subtle. And I bought some Holbein pencils because everybody talks about them. I'm not that impressed with them, she says, opening multiple packets of them. This is me not being impressed with something. You can imagine how mad I go when I actually am impressed with something. I bought a limited amount. It's not the full set, but oh my God, look at those colours. As a pencil and using them with mixed media, they're about the same as the Faber-Castell Polychromos, in my opinion. You may have a different opinion. Please feel free to let me know. This is all I've bought, which I think is quite restrained for me. What I've done in the end is I've gone through all of the pencils I've got. Now, my overall winners are Derwent Lightfast, Derwent Drawing, and Caran Luminance. I have other brands here. I have other Derwents. I have other Caran. I've got a lot. However, in some, there are gaps in the colour range where you just think, if only I had this, or if only I had that. And I've found that some of the Holbeins actually fill the gap really nice. And that's why I've carefully gone through and looked at the ones that are useful, or that I think will be useful with what I do. Especially, strangely enough, these very boring looking colours. These you don't often get these in the other pencils. I've got some, but not these particular ones. And these very, very boring neutrals are damn handy with birds and animals, landscapes, houses, buildings, which I do paint on occasion. So all of these will be interesting to see how they go. But I love the colours. Then I think we've got some pastels. These might be oil pastels because I know, right. I always try to open the boxes nicely in a ladylike way, and when that fails, and it does, a complete tantrum follows whereby I pull boxes to pieces and throw cardboard all over the room. And I have the gall to complain when the dog does it. Pastels. I still feel that I'm being quite sort of together and still ladylike. Right, and last box is this one. Right, okay. Again, I've got gaps. I keep a swatch book, and that's how I make sure that I don't double up too often. I haven't put everything in my swatch book, and sometimes I should pay more attention to what I'm putting in there, and pay more attention to getting it out and looking at it when I'm actually buying. However, I know I've got some gaps, and this one is, these are Caran Neo pastels. Honestly, there are so many Neos around with the Caran range at the moment, because we've got our Neo Colour 1 and 2. Then we've got the new Neo Arts and Neo Pastels. These are oil pastels, and I use these oil pastels to finish off a painting. I don't use anything as it's supposed to be used. I don't use watercolour like a watercolour artist would. I don't use acrylic like an acrylic artist would, or anything like that. I use them all together as a mixed media artist. That means that you've got to do some experimenting, or find someone who's done the experimenting and see what they say, because not everything works the way you want it to, and it's not the manufacturer's fault. It's like, I've said this before to my students, if you buy a lawnmower and try and ice a cake with it, you can't take either the cake or the lawnmower back to the manufacturer and complain, because nowhere did it say that was a good idea. And you know, it's going to result in carnage. Sometimes that happens with mixed media, because some things just won't go over the top of other things, or there's a limit to how much you can put on, or some things may react strangely. So again, that's why you, like everything else, you have to learn, or it's a good idea to learn what goes with what. And I do these deep dives for my students often, where we take a particular material and go right through everything that we use and test it and swatch it. Swatch it and then layer it, and then layer the other things on top of that, and this one on top of that. It's a deep dive. They're called my deep dives, and they really are a deep dive. I take everything I've got and put it together in different combinations, which makes for a really comprehensive view, and you can see then, that works, that doesn't, that's not ideal. It's a good way of seeing them. So oil pastels are what I use for the final layer. Oh gosh, prepare for a crash. No, we're okay. That was the crash. Back into my sketchbook here, where I can find, this was a jelly print, and this is a tutorial on Patreon. And this one here too, this was just me playing around and making something up, and it's a bit of a Franken sketch. But both of these have got oil pastel and some Neo Arts here, but here oil pastel to finish off this rapeseed field. And I think I can feel a bit of glassine back here. Hang on, just let me see if I can find it. There it is. Pan pastel for the skies. I mean, look at that. You've just try it once if you've never tried it. They're not cheap, but they last for ages. This is all oil pastel, so I'll add details in. This is the thing with smooth paper, is quite often it will get to the point where it says, right, that's enough. You've put enough over the top of this. and that's the end of it. So oil pastels are always good once you've reached that point, but not much goes over the oil pastel. So that was actually the point of what I was saying. A deep dive is always a good idea. Speaking of, it's swatching time. So I shall arrange things here and decide what doesn't need to be swatched. For example, my sketchbooks and an empty watercolor box is not going to impress many people. And then we can swatch the rest and see what they look like in color. And let's get this out the way. Put up there, prepared for another crash any minute. I'm using a Jackson's, just a pretty much own brand, about 120 GSM paper. So although I'm going to use it for my water-based things, it doesn't really like it, but we'll be okay. This one, let's start with the oil pastels. This one's sky blue, and that's really pretty, very nice. Like I said, I won't use them normally. This one is malachite green, and like most Caran products, they match up with other Caran products. So we've got pencils in the luminance range, we've got all of the neo colors. They tend to have a co-conspirator in the same color. That one is spring green. Going to run out of fingers doing what I'm doing. And this one is bronze, also a metallic. I must have been having a moment because this is a metallic oil pastel. I could find a use for that. And the thing I like about it is, although it is a little bit metallic, it's not so bad that it's really gaudy. And also I can knock that back by putting things over the top of it if it is too... Thought I was going to drop that, didn't. If it is too gaudy for where I want it, I can knock it back a little bit. This one is light grey. Always useful colours, these. Gosh, got a little bit of the bronze in there, but still a nice colour. This one's just grey. And finally, greyish black. So they will go into my swatch book, and I will be able to see where there are still gaps, and I can go shopping again. While I'm here, I'm going to do this one. This is the Neo Colour 2. Again, nice bronze. You can smudge it out like so, but of course, being Neo Colour 2, as you probably know, it's water soluble, and that will do different things to it. Also, when you swatch out and dissolve out the water soluble Neo Colour 2s, it changes them from being very, very waxy to something that you can put pencils over, and that's really important with mixed media. It's absolutely vital. So it's still, you can still see the mica in there a little bit. It's still all right. It's just a little bit of sheen. This might prompt me to go and get the other colours in, because of course they have gold and silver as well. Right, on to Sennelier. This one here is, it's a state secret apparently. Oh, for goodness sake, it must be there somewhere. Some sort of ochre, I just saw that. The label's quite loose actually. It'll be probably something like a rose ochre. I'm very much in love with this colour at the present minute. Some blue in there as well. That's really quite nice. That will get used. And this one is luminous yellow. I wouldn't have picked it as any sort of yellow, but there we go. It's nice too, same thing. This one is orange ochre. Very annoying the way they've written them on the labels. Lots softer than the others, absolutely lots softer. But when you smooth them out, they do smush nicely. And this one is chrome brown. Very much softer. That's nice. Again, these colours and a titanium buff. These colours are really, really useful for filling in backgrounds. Although I said I use the actual product last, the colour is good for a lay down. But there's a limit to what you can put over the top of that. Not much will go over the top of oil pastel happily. This one is Mars Black. It's always a favourite of mine. Let's see what sort of brown tones it's got. A little bit. Mars Black is one of those colours. I've got it in everything I see it in. I will get a Mars Black. This one is raw umber. Burnt umber must be dark if that's raw umber, but anyway, nice texture there, even on this slightly cheaper paper, to be fair. Naples yellow, another colour that I tend to collect. I'll use a different finger or else we're not going to see what that is. But again, really, really quite nice. And Vert de Vessie. This is a, I believe it's a sap green. Yep, sap green. And to see what little there is of my French hasn't let me down. It looks like a British racing green. Same sort of colour. My father had a car that colour once. Very nice. But like I said, they're gorgeous, but there's a limit. If I just grab a random pencil, and this one's my beloved forest pencil, goes over. This is why it's beloved, because even though nothing much goes over these, some things will. That's why we swatch. That's why we test. Right, so those are the oil pastels. How nice. I'm very happy with those. Let's have a look at the art graph. With these you can make marks of all sorts, but I did notice that this lady also dipped it in water. Yeah, that's fun. Fun. I'm going to like that one too, I think. So, good time to get the pencils going. Right, we have got beige, and these are all Holbeins. Just going to do them in no particular order. Sand, and I will say what they are each time. How's that go? Yeah, see, they don't go over things much, which is why I likened them to the Polychromos by Faber-Castell. Lovely pencil. In their place, they're fabulous, but they do not go over things the way other things do. This one is, funnily enough, sea fog. Yeah. Some do, some don't. Ivory. And this all comes under the heading of getting to know your products. You have to know your tools, and the only way to know your tools, two ways: watch someone else doing it or do it yourself. And obviously the gold standard is to do it yourself. Mustard, one of my favourite colours. I have it in a couple of different incantations as well. This one is willow green, and it's a really, I tell you what, their colours are just stunning. I can't take that away from them. Yellow ochre. And I know a lot of people love the Holbein pencils. Like I said, it's not quite got to worship yet. Maybe I need to get into them a bit more, but the colours are so nice. Apricot. They're also quite true to what's actually on the pencil. And I like the fact that the end is painted. It makes them look a little bit nice. Warm grey number 3. Very nice. Favourite. Olive drab. Interesting name. Probably is, but again, drab are us. I like these muted colours. This one is autumn leaf. Nice. I like autumn. It's my favourite time of year, so that will get some use. As you can see, there's a few fox colours in here, so that's coming up. Salmon pink. Bit of a spoiler alert for my long-suffering Patreons. I've taken myself off the blackbird ban now. I'm now taking 2 blackbirds medicinally per day. The joke there is I thought people were sick and tired of seeing me swatching and painting blackbirds, but apparently not. So I can take myself off the ban. This is tangerine. I adore them. They're one of my favourite birds, and we've got some in our garden, and I love sketching them. But like I said, I just thought people must be so bored with seeing the same bird. Warm grey 5. But not. So I'm off the blackbird ban. Peach. I wonder, I think, because I have a couple of these. Yes, I already have warm grey 4, so that's 3 and that's 5. So this would be reasonably expected to sit somewhere between the two. I'm so proud of myself for not buying the whole set. It's probably going to happen though. Raisin. I like a deep purple like this. Really nice. I'm not really into what I call menopause mauve. I'm at that point, so I'm not insulting anybody except myself. It's the kind of, I don't know, it's a really cheap mauve. You just see it a lot in very cheap incantations. I prefer a muted colour mauve that's had something done to it. This one is very nice. The Sea Fog and Raisin, those are perfect. I can't even find my menopause. Actually, this one might work. This is violet. This is a Caran violet. That's not too far off. Actually, can I call it Cadbury purple? Now, I love Cadbury chocolate, but not that purple's not my favourite purple. If I had to, even though I bought the bloody pencil, but I do that. I've got Barbie pink too, and I don't like that either. These are the ones that I would buy every damn time. And I'm not going to lie, these pencils are creamy in their lay down. Cork, this one was an interesting colour. They're very creamy in their lay down. They're not terrible about going over things. They're not loving it, but I've seen worse. I shall have to have a proper deep dive. Warm grey 1. I think we can see where this is going. The one that I've got left in my hand must be warm grey 2, and it's not. It's cool grey 1. Shows I know nothing. Cool grey 1. I don't normally like the cool greys. Warm colours have more yellow in them. Cool colours have more blue. So you can see that this one's actually, let me put it quite next to it there. It's a very light one. I'll just lift it up for you. You can sort of see this one is a little bit warmer. This one's a bit cooler. Like I said, I don't normally go for that, but okay, well, they're here now, so we've got them. Let's have a look at pan pastels next. Now, rather shockingly, again, to pure artists, please turn away. I don't use all these pan pastel applicators because they don't last, and I've washed these, and again, not this one, but I have washed some of these several times. Some colours stain, others don't stain as much. Some colours don't stain at all. You can't tell that I've ever used it. That one was washed, these were washed the other day. So yeah, I used them for ages. This is it's a violet shade. So just a bit menopausey, isn't it? Not really. No, I can see some darker colours in there. That's quite nice. And mixed with my other sky colours, that will work quite well. And I would bet good money, in fact, the title deeds to every house in the street where I live, that won't come out when it's washed. It's a bit of a hint that you've got to be careful with your clothes, you see, because if it won't come out of this, it won't come out of your clothes either. Phthalo blue shade. Again, being a shade, it is a darker version. But stormy skies, I can see this getting some use. And put together with some of my other lighter colours, should work really well, really nicely. Right. This one is phthalo blue. I have a beloved phthalo blue tint. Getting these open can be a bit of a challenge. I have a lovely phthalo blue tint that I use, and it's, being a tint, of course, it is the lightest version, because these are put together quite logically. There are about 4 shades, or 4 different values in each colour. The tint is the lightest, the shade is the darkest, as you would expect, and 2 or 3, usually 2, I think, in between. And they are not cheap, but they do last forever, it seems. I've not run out of one yet, although I can see the bottom of my white one, so it's going to happen. This is another stainer by the look of it. But again, if you've got that bright summer sky, just bits here and there in a really bright summer sky, that would look really nice. And this is the secret to building up your stash, is doing it gradually and getting a little bit at a time, because a lot of things, art materials are a luxury at the end of the day, aren't they? So we have to be careful. Let's do gouache next. So I'm going to shock everybody by doing this just from the tube. Lemon yellow is the first one, and these are all Holbein. That's probably on the cusp of being too bright for me. However, as a highlight colour, it's nice. This one's white. I won't do white because you know why. Ash blue. Ash blue looks a nice colour as well. Very true to the label. Very true. The Turner ones aren't always, actually. I've had some really dodgy Turners that I've looked at, and I thought that's absolutely nothing like was shown on the sales page. and it's not what I wanted. But you can always mix them, so that's okay. This one here is deep magenta. It certainly is. Again, not a colour I reach for a lot, but if you're up against a garden setting and this is the colour that a plant is, well, it's a nice luxury. I know I can mix these, but it's a nice luxury not to have to. And, you know, that's sort of my gift to myself. I wish it was a gift. That'd mean they were free. They're not. This is mustard, and that's really nice as well. And I like the fact that you can water these down and use them very much like watercolors, actually. They're not exactly the same. They don't have the same properties at all. Don't hear that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if you are stuck and you're on a real budget, rather than buying watercolors, if you buy acrylic gouache, you can use it like acrylic gouache. You can use it like watercolor by just really sort of putting a lot of water in it. Probably not the ideal color to show you with. See, you can get the lots and lots of nice sort of effects. It's quite often pigment dependent. Some of them will work better than others. Trial and error. That was pale mint. This one's pale pink. So in a world where I assured you I don't really go for pink, and this is also remarkably similar to my Turner pastel, so probably don't need both of these. However, if there's ever a pale pink shortage, I can sell this on the black market. That's nice. I'm happy with those. They will fit into the kit very nicely. Right, let's have a look at the Mugello gouache. Actually, no, whilst we're with Holbein, let's stay with Holbein. This one's Traditional Colours of Japan, Iridori, and please excuse my pronunciation of that. I bought them because of the colours. I know nothing about Japanese traditional painting, but the colours are really very nice and useful for all of us. And I've never used this brand before, so it's interesting. Very nice, actually. Love the colour. And I have watered this down. Here again, I don't use... no, that's Mugello, isn't it? This is Holbein. I don't use gouache the way it's supposed to be either. I don't mind if it gets a bit muddy, and I don't mind watering it right down, and again, using it a bit like an opaque watercolour. This is Raw Umber. Very nice colour. Very useful colours, actually. And, yeah, see, that waters down quite nicely. There's a lot of things it won't go over. There's a lot of things it will. You just have to experiment. It's fine with pan pastel. Most things are. This one's orange. And again, I'm thinking foxes later on. Spoiler alert. I've spoiled it. It's too late now. Bit of a bright colour, but again, you could argue that foxes are that colour. Mine will be, because this is the paint I've bought. So if foxes aren't that colour now, they will be when I'm finished with them. Right, moving swiftly on to... Oh, do I keep doing watercolour or do I keep doing gouache? Gosh, decisions. I'm going to keep doing gouache. This is Mugello Mission Titanium Class Gouache, and it's gold ochre. Very nice looking too. A little bit of binder there, but that's not necessarily a problem. Very, very similar to that colour, but it's not exactly the same. And again, it's new to me. Very nice to use. What I'm also after is something that dries velvet matte. I don't really want shine. I get enough of that by adding all the waxy pencils over the top. And last is yellow grey. I'm rather excited about this one. I also noticed that they're quite true to what's written on the label. This does have some in it, doesn't it? It does. That's really nice. I do like that. They will have a home, and I'm probably going to get some more colours because they're very nice. Okay, let us just I'm going to dry these and I shall be back very, very shortly because we've got a few to go here and then we're done. But I think we need a new page. I've done the extravagant thing and I'm going to do all this on the nice page just because I can. Right, let's go back to watercolour. We'll start with the Magello Tourmaline Granulation Watercolour. See if this colour's what this colour's going to do. It's another nice one. With super granulating watercolours or any watercolours, you need to give them enough water to swim in and enough space to do their thing. And they don't mind being bullied a bit. You don't want to overwork them, but you can sort of put more into them than you can with others. You know, some things just don't want to be fussed over, whereas these don't mind. That looked like if it was going to separate out, but now it sort of hasn't. So that's Oxide Turquoise. This one is Milky Way Violet. That could be anything. Partly because I can't remember. Right, it's sort of that purple. No, it's not. And it's got a bit of a yellow in it. Gosh, you're so not supposed to do this. Do as I say, not as I do. But all of this will be going into a little palette shortly, so it won't matter as much. Yeah, there's interesting things happening, but again, I don't care. I really love those colours. Now moving on to some Holbein watercolours. This one is Full Moon Yellow. Now these tend to come out of the tube and not want to stop, so I may have to put them into one as we go along. We've got some here, Full Moon Yellow. Nice colour. Again, these colours that don't look very exciting are so necessary. This one's Hazy Moon Yellow. Obviously, I have a moon fixation this month. Oh, wow, I like that one. Nice. Very nice. These will have a good home and get some use, I think. And this one is Eurasian J Rose Grey. That's going to take some saying. I'm really drawn to these purples. Again, muted purples. Super. There's sort of a little bit of action there with the Holbeins. But, of course, you've got to give them some water, like I said, to swim in. And this paper's not ideal, really, for showcasing them. I don't care. They're very nice. This one is Japanese Bush Warbler Green. Also nice. It's good to have a selection like this. Gosh. Right, well that doesn't count as granulation either. Not all of these are anyway. Doesn't matter. I love the colours. Perfect. Really very nice indeed. Right. Yeah, interesting effect there. Yeah, there's some different colours in there. I think I could have probably used a bit more paint, to be fair. Now, what I'm going to do with this lot is first find out how to open the tin. I'm only going to swatch the new colours. And again, you can see all of the others in action if you would like. Now, this is from the pastel set. And we've got Peach Blossom. That's nice as it is. It's a perfect colour for Peach Blossom. We have got Amazonite. And we've got Light Heliotrope. And of course, there is not a court in the country that will convict you if you don't dissolve them out with water. They can be just pastels, wax pastels. And I use them like that. Sometimes I'll dissolve them out with water and then come back in and go over the top with the same one to give it some texture. That works some colours better than others. It also depends how much of a substrate you put down and how much you wet it out. So again, playing. That's a nice one. So That was the Amazonite. I like the peach blossom as well, and the light heliotrope. Let's see what that can do. Slightly lighter when you do this, and like I said, when they dry they will be more likely to allow more layers over the top. If you just use them as a wax pastel, as they are here, good luck with some coloured pencils over the top, and even acrylic markers and things like that, they just don't like it. It clogs up the tips on some, and you can, if you're very, very unlucky with some of the fine liners, you can ruin them completely. So you do have to be a little bit careful. Right, this one is, I believe, the this one is the portrait set. Gosh, get it out. Light peony yellow. Again, a nice colour for backgrounds. And this one too, conch pearl. I like the names. And then we've got light wine lees. Not quite sure about where that name came from, but I'm sure if somebody knows, they'll tell me. It's a nice pink. That one. And they all seem to go nicely with the watercolours as well. That's pretty nice as well. Like I said, really, really useful for the sorts of things I paint. And the people who learn from me tend to also like painting the same sorts of things. I love this colour, even though it's a pink. The light wine lees. In German, they've missed out the lees bit. It's just helle Wein, which suits me fine. In either language will do, because the lees bit, it just doesn't make sense. But that's fine. I didn't name it. Not my problem. Pop is the last one. And we've got these three, haven't we? Again, there's some mighty bright ones in here. Tyrian pink. Oh, gosh. Speaking of bright, that's probably a colour I wouldn't have bought if I had to. But having said that, if that's what colour a flower is, then that's what colour a flower is. Rose of Garance. I think I'll get that eventually. That's not bad, but this, look at that. That's so nice. And finally, light lilac. Yeah, it's a bit better when you sort of get rid of some of its vim and vigour. These are pretty good for mixing too. You can mix over the top while they're dry or wet, and that can knock some of the colours back as well. Sort of been on here long enough, keeping you occupied long enough today. I'll go into that as and when, but you know, for some of these, if you're not keen on the colour, you can do things with them. This one's nice too. Yeah, that one needed a bit more colour in it, just watching my granulation thing here. And this one's actually got a pull on it. Not a really good showcase of them. Please don't not buy on this account. Doing them properly is better. Right, nice colours. Very heavy on the pink palette, but somebody at Caran has undoubtedly decided that that's where the main gaps were. My winner, standout winner, is the light wine lees. I also like these, and that one too. I guess these are probably the Rose of Garance is the best one out of these, I think. I'm not into these lolly colours, but like I said, sometimes flowers are, and you do what's in front of you. But they're a good addition to the kit. Birds as well. Sometimes birds are very, very bright, and you think, well, I'm not sure you're real because you certainly don't look it. But these will get some use. But that one and that one out of the pinks, these. Actually, it's these two are the ones that I'm not keen on. This one's probably not great, but the others are nice. And this is just such a nice colour. That's really attracting me. I'm going to use that. But what I'm going to do, like I said, because these are a 50th year edition and there are 5 distinctly discrete sets, I'm going to do a little tutorial on each one, because then I can sort of show how I might use it, and again in concert with other mixed media items, because I would not use anything that I've bought here on its own. All of these things will go into something else. But in wrapping up, I'm pretty happy and pretty excited about what I've got here. I also like the fact that this was unexpected, to have a little few extra bits and bobs here. That's nice. And these little containers are always handy. I've got some spare lids. I bought a pack of 6 spare lids because this happens sometimes. They'll do this and I don't want these all stacked up. God knows that the lids are hard enough to get on now without having them stacked up as well, and it doesn't suit my layout of my studio. So I have these, some of them I bought in a stack, so only the first one had a lid. So I bought some spare lids. I've got a spare lid, so I've now got a little box, and I think that's my second one too. Really useful to have. For example, if you're off outside, you can put a couple of spare dip pen nibs and things like this, and an eraser, small sharpener. Can fit an amazing amount in them. Right, okay everybody, I do hope you have enjoyed that as a swatching session. There's a lot of nice stuff here and lots of really, really pretty colours, different sorts of things. Like I said in the beginning, and it's worth repeating here, when you look at this, you think, well, how on earth would you think that these fit together? You must be mad. Probably. That could also be true. But they do fit together, and they fit together beautifully. And knowing how each thing fits into mixed media practice is super, super important. Because that's how you get the most out of it. Otherwise, you tend to buy things that you've seen somebody else use, and then they get put aside, because if they don't work brilliantly, you think, well, I don't want that. It's not part of what I want to do. So it gets put aside somewhere, and that is a great pity. I've got a few things like that I've bought that way, and I'm trying to dig them all out and use them. Graphite tints are the only things that the Derwent graphite tints, because normally I love Derwent. But the Derwent graphite tints have, I don't know, they just, they don't lift my kilt, can I say that? So this is what I've bought. Stick around and you'll see them all in use. And I think that will be fun as well. And I shall see you next time. Yeah, see you soon. Don't forget, leave a like and subscribe. And if you like what you've seen here and you want to see them in action and see how I'm going to put them all together, then do consider my Patreon, which is all taught in English too, by the way. That's something that's important to say, because a couple of people have told me that they went on exploring and everything came up in German. I'm in Germany, so it may be some weird sort of default, you know what the internet does sometimes. But rest assured, all lessons are in English. And yeah, I hopefully will see you there. Otherwise, I shall see you here next time. Bye for now. Bye.